as I give you an update on the last 44 hours. I first want to start by saying when we came back to work Monday morning from our 4-day Christmas holiday break, we were high-fiving. And the reason that we were was we didn't have not one traffic fatality over the holiday weekend, and we were excited about that. But that was short-lived. In the last 44 hours, we've had 8 people killed in vehicle crashes in this county. And I'm going to start and give you a summation, and then I'm going to give you some details. I'm going to start from this morning back. When I left home, I could not even get to work without driving across a fatal crash that our deputies were working along with Winter Haven Fire and police assisting us. That was at 7:45 this morning, one deceased female. For reasons that's still under investigation and we don't know, she clipped the back end of another vehicle, rolled her vehicle over and over, was ejected from the vehicle, and died as a result of her horrendous injuries at the hospital. Well, I had just gotten home last night at 6:30 when I got a call that we had a vehicle crash on U.S. Highway 98 north of Lakeland, where a person riding a motorcycle we suspect was using alcohol because he had just left the VFW, where we know they consume alcohol, and he, on his 3-wheel motorcycle, swerved into the northbound lane of U.S. Highway 98 north, and he was struck and killed. 11 hours earlier, at 7:30 a.m., on Highway 98 North, not far from that particular location, we had a vehicle crash where a subject driving a pickup truck loaded with a loaded trailer of roofing materials was observed with the trailer fishtailing, and it fishtailed off of the road as he was coming south on 98, and then into the northbound lane, and a Wonder Bread truck hit the trailer, immediately killing the driver and significantly, critically injuring the passenger. They were father and son. I'll give you the details in just a minute, where we arrested the driver of the pickup truck for DUI manslaughter, and a litany of other charges. Well, we back up from Tuesday night and Tuesday morning to Monday night at 9 o'clock on Old Dixie Highway in Auburndale, where a man riding the bicycle into the road was struck and killed by a vehicle. The reports to us was several other vehicles had swerved around him as he rode his bicycle in the center of the road. We have alcohol and or drugs suspected on the part of the person on the bicycle who's now deceased, and that's under investigation. But it all began Monday at noon before our next fatality at 9 p.m. on Lake Hatchnahaw. We received 911 calls from the Poinciana area of a fight, and we will provide those 911 calls for you, where a caller was frantically saying there's a woman being beaten. He has dragged her back into the car. She's bleeding. You've got to stop him. I'm afraid he's going to kill her. And deputies are responding to the area with a description of a Mazda, a black Mazda. One of our deputies in the area sees the vehicle on Marigold, which runs at that location north and south out of Point Siena. The vehicle is southbound out of Point Siena. Our deputy gets behind the vehicle, lights it up in an attempt to stop it. Immediately upon us turning the lights on this vehicle, the suspect in the vehicle of the abduction, aggravated battery that they're telling us, you got to stop this guy, immediately moves into northbound traffic and is going head on into traffic. So the deputy wisely turns off his lights and disengages the pursuit. He continues to drive southbound behind the vehicle as it flees from the attempted traffic stop. But he does not engage the vehicle. He does not keep up with the vehicle. But he's going in that direction as we're now looking for our victim to see if she's in the community or in the suspect's vehicle. At that moment in time, there's still the possibility that he holds this abduction victim in the vehicle. So he didn't want to just stop. He was following. He was driving down the road as the suspect pulled out of sight, hoping to get more information about is someone in the vehicle or not. Is there an abduction victim in the vehicle with this suspect? We have video that we'll show you in just a moment that clearly shows that as the vehicle zoomed past a home on Hatchnahaw, which is several miles from where all this began on Marigold, that you will see the suspect vehicle drive by at an extreme rate of speed. Then you will see other cars in the traffic flow driving down the road. Then you will see the deputy driving down the road without his lights, probably 3/10 of a mile behind, maybe 4/10 of a mile behind. But here's our suspect, Requiem Villona, V-I-L-L-A-L-O-N-A, Villona. He's 35 years of age. And we know that as he's fleeing at a great rate of speed, that he creates this crash that I'm about to describe to you on Lake Hatchnahaw Road. So if you follow what I'm going to tell you, this was a very complicated scene, and you'll understand why when I show you a picture of the vehicle in just a moment. As he's fleeing, he comes upon a black Ford 150 pickup truck, and he hits the rear of that vehicle. When he hits the rear of that vehicle, as they're both traveling westbound, he redirects the Ford F-150 as it spins in circles into the eastbound lane. As the Ford is spinning into the eastbound lane, then there is a vehicle, a Toyota Tacoma, that strikes the truck spinning in the road. The suspect and his vehicle is now launched airborne. The airborne vehicle then strikes a gray vehicle, the fourth vehicle. The Mazda is cut, and you'll see almost in half from front to rear. Our suspect is thrown out into the pavement and is obviously deceased. And we also have two fatalities in the gray Escape where he launched into their vehicle. So here are the vehicles. This is our suspect vehicle, and you can see it demolished. You can see it crashes into the Ford F-150, which is on the bottom here. This guy's killed. Just by the grace of God, there's 4 people in this Ford F-150 pickup truck, to include a 3-year-old baby, a 16-year-old girl, child, and 2 adults. none of them are injured at all. But as this vehicle spins around and is redirected in the eastbound lane, that's when the Toyota Tacoma is hit. There's one deceased in the Toyota Tacoma, and there's one injured. This vehicle, as a result of the energy, is catapulted into the air and lands into this vehicle, actually into the top of the vehicle, and tears that vehicle into shreds, as you can see. There's 2 deceased as a result of that out of that vehicle, and there's 2 that received significant injuries that were in this vehicle. It was total carnage. It's among the worst traffic fatalities we've seen in this county. It's important to point out that I had my traffic homicide team there, virtually all of them, if not all of them. And I've got well in excess of 100 years of experience investigating traffic homicide. And it took us hours and hours and hours and hours, and there's still work to be done to try to figure out which cars caused which crash and how did it occur. Had Villalona survived that crash, he would have been charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide, as well as abduction or kidnapping or aggravated battery on what we find out after the fact is his girlfriend. His girlfriend had to be taken to the hospital as a result of the initial, which created the initial 911 calls, to be stitched up. She had a significant cut from the fight, and she refused to cooperate. And when we went back to serve a search warrant at the house, she's gone. She fled, totally not cooperating at all. So this 911 call was generated to help her, to keep her safe from this very violent guy who ultimately killed 3 people and himself with his crazy, wild, out-of-control actions because he wanted to beat and injure his girlfriend, did not want to stop when the deputies tried to stop him. So I'll put that aside for just a second to show you a picture of Joshua Waters and the damage he created. Joshua Waters, at that time in the morning, early in the morning, our traffic homicide people obviously see that he's impaired. He's arrested, charged with DUI manslaughter, DUI serious bodily injury, DUI, and of course resisting us at the scene. This is a very bad guy. But he caused an innocent man to die, and the man that died was the truck driver for the Wonder Bread Company truck. And his 18-year-old son is in extremely, extremely, extremely critical condition, and we don't know if he's going to survive. All because he's drunk. He's driving an overloaded trailer of roofing materials recklessly to the point that he's fishtailing on the road and swings the trailer directly into the northbound lane of travel, where this man just driving, going to work, minding his business, and his son are killed and significantly injured. Folks, we're about to embark on New Year's later this week. And I've said this over and over and clearly and unclearly, and the people who listen are safe. I would much rather see you locked up in the county jail than in the morgue. I can tell you that rage and a contempt for the rules of society caused that triple fatality. I can show you that the bicyclist that was killed, we highly suspect had drugs or alcohol or both in the system. We highly suspect the individual that was killed on 98 North on his tricycle motorcycle had been drinking. And we highly suspect that the man who killed the son, or killed the suspect who killed the man and son, was intoxicated. There's no reason for that. In this society, in this community today, where traffic is bumper to bumper, and it's even more bumper to bumper during the winter when our northern visitors are here, there's no room for people to get out of your way. 8 people are dead in the last 44 hours from vehicle crashes. That's got to stop. That's someone's mother, father, brother, sisters, cousins, friends. Which one of us want to leave work or our home today or go on vacation today and get killed in a car crash because somebody's so inconsiderate that they're drinking or driving or not wanting to be stopped or just continuing to drive crazy miles down the road? Listen to me clearly. They offer a tow and go program here over the New Year's weekend. Uber is cheap, a lot cheaper than the county jail and a DUI, a lot safer than the morgue where you can end up dead if you drink and drive. If you don't have a friend, a relative, you can't use tow and go, you can't find Uber, call the sheriff's office. We'll get you home rather than have you get out on the road and kill yourself or someone else. But once you get on that road and that deputy turns the lights on, the deal's off. We're still going to give you a ride, but at that point you're going to go to jail. But if you can't get us to get a ride any way else home before you get behind the wheel of that vehicle, call us. We can't stand to see one person die in a vehicle crash when there's 8 in 44 hours. I called my wife and said, just stay home, relax, work around the house, read a book till this wave is over. This is the craziest we've seen it in a long time. That doesn't count the guy I stopped yesterday on the way home from work. I'm not a traffic kind of guy, but I stopped him and he was issued a citation for running a red light. Oh, he didn't cut it close. He was way after the light turned red. Why did I not see a T-bone crash? There just happened to not be a car pushing the light from the other direction. This craziness has got to stop. This insensitivity to your friends or your neighbors out here on the road's got to stop. I don't want to see you killed or maimed. And I've seen way too much of it in the last 44 hours. Are there any questions?
Sheriff, just want to confirm or make sure. So Villalona's girlfriend was not with him and you all were searching for her?
She was not with him. We found her at the time because she was at the hospital. She refused to cooperate, even though he had injured her bad enough she had to be stitched up.
Can you spell his full name for us, please?
They'll give it to you after the press conference. We'll get it for you.
Will you sort of explain, I know there's an obvious difference, but can you explain the difference between like a car following and a car chasing?
Yeah, you'll see on this video clip I'm about to show you, we were going in the same direction as he fled. But you'll see with this one clip and several witnesses, if we were pursuing him, we would be on him. We would be behind him in traffic. We, on top of him, with lights and sirens. That wasn't it. We were driving in the same direction while they were gathering information at the scene. But look, and you'll see it'll go. There's traffic. There's traffic. There he goes. And then you see more traffic and more traffic and more traffic and more traffic. And there's our deputy. You see the difference? He's in the flow of traffic going in that direction, but he's not pursuing. Yeah, we'll redo that, and we'll give y'all a clip of it. But watch, there's road traffic. Road traffic, you see the excessive speed there? Road traffic, more road traffic. And they're all thinking, what's that crazy guy doing? More traffic.
Is that a 2 or 4 lane road?
2 lane. East-west road, it's Lake Hatchnaha Road, and it's way out in the countryside, and there's the patrol car there. Okay?
When you're referencing the incident regarding the Wonder Bread driver and Joshua Waters, and you're saying the son, is that Joshua Waters' son?
No, it is the Wonder Bread driver's son, and we're not identifying them.
Understood, thank you.
Have you identified all the victims in this crash?
Yes, ma'am. And we're not releasing the identity of them because had he survived, they would be victims of his vehicular homicide charges.
Can you talk more about Lake Hatchinaw? We're hearing from viewers or people who live in that area that there's a lot of reckless driving that happens on that road.
Do you know there's a lot of reckless driving that occurs on every road in this county, in this state, in this nation? And obviously, you and the community is hypersensitive to it. But if you talk to people out that live on Hatchnaha now, that live on Hatchnaha for a long time, that used to be way out in the country, a little 2-lane, quiet road. Well, they continue to build and continue to build, and all of a sudden these folks that used to see traffic occasionally are seeing traffic flow all day long. I mean, this is 12 o'clock. This is not drive time, but you see the traffic out there. Even that much traffic out there is a shock for people who've lived out there a long time because it's way out in the countryside. But it's on the south end of Poinciana. There's an explosion of new houses going on out there, and the traffic is very heavy.
And what is your response when people who live there say it's not supervised enough?
Yeah, when people say that, here's my response to that. We do traffic patrol out there. We stop people and write traffic citations all through that area. But my experience is that people say, you know, there's not enough traffic deputies, there's not enough traffic deputies, till they get stopped, and then they look us in the eye and go, why aren't you out trying to catch real criminals? You can't have it both ways. So the reality of it is, if we had the ability to put sufficient deputies on every street to write traffic for everyone that's sped, if we had the ability to do that, in about 1 week after we wrote most everybody a traffic citation, because you know and I know when you drive through traffic, people don't obey the traffic laws, then they would be clamoring, get rid of those deputies, get rid of those traffic deputies. We don't want any more of it. So there's never enough until you get a ticket, and then there's too many.
Sure.
We write tickets every day all over this county. There's 2,000 square miles, 725,000 people. And the vast majority of the people that operate a motor vehicle do their very best to disobey the speed limit at some point in time during their travel day. I don't think everybody wants a traffic citation, so we try to deal with the most egregious.
Sheriff, I noticed in the pursuit, obviously your deputy slowed down.
Wasn't a pursuit.
Or wasn't a
No, it was not a pursuit.
Okay.
He lit the car up to stop it.
Right.
And when he lit the car up to stop it, it weaved into the northbound lane of traffic, going head on. He turned the lights off and stopped. There was never a pursuit.
Okay.
And then the car continued, and there will be tests to see if this guy driving crazy, why is he still driving 90, 100, 110 miles an hour? This piece of clip here you see is miles later. It's not 2 miles down the street. It's probably 3, 4, 5 miles later. And he's still driving like a madman, and he can't even see the deputy. The deputy's way behind in the traffic flow.
Sheriff, what are the rules here in terms of, could he have chased him? Like, was he within his right to chase him?
He absolutely, if he would have chased that car into that crash, I would have sat here and said, we had a report of an abduction, of a forcible felony. Do you want him not to try to rescue the abduction victim? When, as you all know, when we begin with a 911 call, we know that an event has occurred, and we have to accept on face value what the people are seeing at that moment in time. We have to. That's how we save lives. That's how we protect people and catch bad guys. But he saw that the driving condition was so reckless, his evaluation, and this is my supposition, was even if she's in the car, if I chase him into head-on traffic, I'm not doing her any good. So I'll get back in the flow of traffic. I'll go in that direction. We'll get the deputies on the scene back behind me to see what's happening so more information is confirmed. But had he, at that moment in time, with what we knew at that moment in time, had he engaged in a pursuit, it would have been a really tragic ending that he was directly involved in, but it would have been justifiable with what we knew at that moment. And that's what we have to look at. Hindsight's 20/20. It's all going to clear up when the dust settles and we get everybody corralled up. He just made a very wise decision not to pursue that car, even though legitimately and legally he could have, according to our policy.
Sheriff, how long did Villalona drive from the moment you left?
We will work the exact time out in order to get the exact speed, but we're talking miles. When you come out of Poinciana, if you've been out there or you go out there, you'll find it's probably about 3 or 4 miles out of Poinciana till you intersect Hatchnaha. Then from Hatchnaha to where the crash was probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles maybe. So we're talking 4 to 5 miles. And he's still driving like a madman. 6 miles. They're telling me in the back they tracked it at 6 miles. But that's why our traffic homicides got a lot of reconstruction to do. And quite frankly, we were going to talk to you yesterday, and people didn't quit getting killed in car crashes long enough for us to get with the people who we needed to interview in order to get the press information to y'all. People kept getting killed, and it was like, crap. Give a brother a break here. Quit killing each other in these car crashes. You know, this is not, you know, we were so excited that Christmas went well because it's horrible to see that. And then they sure made up for it after Christmas. There's 8 people that will never spend another Christmas with their loved ones. And alcohol and drugs and rage had a lot to do with all of them.
Do you think the news of 8 fatalities in less than 2 days is enough to make Polk County reckless drivers change their habits?
No, because those people are inconsiderate to drive like that anyway. The people, what we don't see and what we don't talk about is all the people who drive right. We don't talk about them. But aside from that, the distracted driving, the extra traffic on the road, those folks, while this hits them square in the face, they'll have conversations with their children at night, or their wives or husbands like I had with my wife. And short term, they'll be more cautious. But the people that cause this kind of carnage, they're not paying attention because they're not rule followers. And they're not going to do anything that they don't want to do. They're not going to behave unless we make them behave. I mean, this guy just killed somebody on 98 North and significantly injured his son, the dead guy's son. We still had to wrestle with him at the scene because he wouldn't obey what the deputy said. He didn't care. He didn't care. If he did, he wouldn't have driven that truck loaded the way it was. He would have slowed down when it started fishtailing and got off of the road and fixed the problem. He didn't care. A lot of people speed and get killed in crashes by accident. These are intentional acts. Most of what we've shown you here, not all of these, but most of these were intentional acts by someone we suspect using alcohol or drugs or rage or a combination of that. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable in our society. We've got to care more about our friends, our family, our neighbors, and people we don't even know. Any other questions? I hope we're not going to any more today. But I'm suspicious. Be careful. Let's ring in the new year with safety and care and concern and love for our neighbors and our friends. And quit doing stupid stuff that causes people to die. Thank you very much.